Okay, hello Sheila, hello Wes. This is about social care. My mum's 97 and she has dementia. She's in a care home that costs an eye-watering £1,650 a week. That's over £85,000 a year, and that increases annually, and it's rapidly just cleaning out all mum's savings that my late dad put aside so carefully to give us all security in our own old age, plus the proceeds of the sale of her home. And it sounds really terrible, but sometimes I even find myself wishing that my mum would pass away soon before it's all gone and the family's left with absolutely nothing. And it shouldn't be about money, but unfortunately it is. I want to know, when will something be done to stop this happening? And I need a real answer, not just a sort of, we get it, we have no money kind of answer.
All right, well, let's see if he's got it. Go on.
So within the first 6 months on social care, we have delivered the biggest expansion of carers allowance since the 1970s. We have legislated for fair pay agreements so we can deal with the workforce challenges. We just announced £86 million going out the door between January and April to do home adaptations for nearly 8,000 disabled people across our country. And there is more to come on social care, and not least thanks to the measures the Chancellor took in the budget to increase funding. But I do...
on that, very little increase compared to the wider NHS, and you know they are absolutely hand in glove. In terms of the solutions.
A few things. There's, in terms of the spending power of local councils, that went up significantly, just shy of £4 billion, 880 million ring-fenced specifically for social care, but that won't be the grand sum of it. The Disabled Facilities Grant on top. And, there are, in terms of reform of the Better Care Fund, I'm trying to drive the NHS to do more with and through social care, because often it's better value for taxpayers.
Now, remind me, Better Care Fund, is that where money from the NHS goes into the care sector?
Yeah, it's a sort of shared fund to look at health and care services, and it's to help ease pressures on the NHS too.
And in terms of the question that you were asked about the sheer expense that people...
care costs that people are going through, I recognise this is a really big challenge, and when people hear case studies like yours, I mean, those are eye-watering sums of money.
And not unusual with dementia.
No, and that's why, because I think that where we've got to as a country is a situation where I think the burden on individuals and families and the state, it's imbalanced, and it's almost a game of potluck and chance.
Is the heavily privatised nature of social care part of that problem?
Actually, it's more... I mean, there are definitely issues with private equity-owned care homes. It's more to do with whether they're state-run care homes or whether they're privately-run care homes. The costs are enormous. And for people who are on the receiving end of this, it will not feel like a game of potluck or chance at all. It will feel catastrophic. And why should you be hit harder if you've got a condition like dementia than if you've lived into a ripe old age and you're okay?
You're asking questions now rather than answering them.
And that's why I've asked Louise Casey, who is one of the best social reformers and doers in this country, to lead an independent commission on adult social care, reporting initially next year to set out actions we should take through this Parliament, and then for the long term.
And you've been criticised for that being too far away, but it is what it is.
I'm willing to have that row, but you might not want to now.
On that, I'm going to get to calls as much as I can. But on that, Dame Louise Casey's review, is it as much about finding out new things that we don't already know? What don't we already know about the problems in social care? I would argue we do already know the problems in social care. Or is she looking at coming up with a package of how we fund it differently?
So much more about the how than I mean, there'll be a bit of what's the state of play, because we did that with Darzi on the NHS when we came in, and we got criticised at the start. Oh, what you been in? Why are you asking for a review for? You know what's wrong. And even people who worked in the NHS for decades, like Lord Darzi, were going, bloody hell, I didn't realise it was this bad.
Okay.
And I think we're going to see a bit of that in social care. So the evidence base is important, but it's about action. So it's about action during this Parliament. And then why have this review for the long term? You've got a massive majority. Why don't you just do it? Because what I've seen on social care time and time again over decades now with Labour, Conservative, Lib Dem and SNP-led governments is politics has torpedoed good ideas and it has broken the social care system. Bad politics equals bad social care. And what I found after the general election is, and to their credit, especially given some of the things I've said about the Conservative Party in recent days, the Conservatives, the Lib Dems and Reform have all said, look, we're willing to work with you on this in terms of the long-term plan. So let's see if we can get broad agreement.
Can I just say, as an ordinary voter, to that statement you just said there, Yarboo, so you bloody should. All of you. You should.
Yeah, definitely.
It's your job.
And that was the argument I made during the election campaign, which was, we've all got blame to hold in this crisis. I mean, on the NHS, I'd be more critical of the Conservatives because we left the NHS in a better state. On social care, I'd say, yeah, do you know what? Labour, Conservative, Lib Dem, SNP, we've all got a share in the blame, and I think it would be a good thing for social care and a good thing for our politics if we could work together to build the broad consensus like we've got on the NHS or state education and other issues that we've had in this country on other areas of public service. Let's do this on social care and let's do it together.
Well, you could argue we don't really have
that
big a consensus these days on the NHS, but that's a whole other conversation as well.